Is the title race over?
For what league?
The Premier League, baby.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's over. I think this is just on a couple of factors that are pretty well known if you've been anywhere on the internet today, which is just purely on the fact that Liverpool drew with Spurs, which I predicted. I predicted a higher score, but I predicted a draw. And
So did I.
You know,
I went with you. I went with you.
We were laughed at a bit, and it is a little bit of a foolish it's a little bit of a fool's fool of a prediction.
We'll take it. Any naysayers, you thought Liverpool were going to go run away with it or whatever, we'll take the draw, Heath Pierce. Damn right. All right, keep going, my friend.
But here's where it gets a little interesting is that for Liverpool, for most of the season, have had a better goal difference than Man City. Man City's 4 or 5-0 win?
5-0 win against Newcastle. Yeah,
against Newcastle has now moved them to +4 over Liverpool. So now +68 goal difference versus Liverpool's +64, and that's where I see as the difference. They've still got 3 matches left to play, but if it's going to come down to it, I don't see them slipping up twice. Maybe they slip up once in the final 3 games, if at all, and that would then come down to needing these massive swings of goals. And I just can't see that. And I just feel like with one circumstance of just pure points, sure, it was open. But now with points, the fact that they drew and the fact Liverpool drew and the fact that goal difference changed so significantly, I just can't see it coming back from that, because even in the final 3 games, if they were to slip up one, they're still going to score a bunch of goals. It's hard to not think that they're going to keep that kind of stat padded for the rest of the season. How about you?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm a little weary because Liverpool's next game is away at Villa Park, and I feel like we're going to take part of some kind of narrative here. But a few pieces of context as we break down Man City against Newcastle, by the way. Very, very impressive for Manchester City, even the Goliath that is Manchester City, to come away with a 5-0 win against a very confident Newcastle side, by the way, who had been doing so well as of late. They lost just 1-0 against Liverpool the game before that, but before they had a fantastic run of games, 1, 2, 3, a 4-game winning streak as well. And you got to give Man City a lot of credit here. It wasn't just 2-0, 1-0 scrappy win. It was 5-0 against Newcastle. Kevin De Bruyne was fantastic. Goals came from Rodrigo, who, by the way, scored on his 3rd straight Premier League match, I believe, as well. So it was a very, very good game. Pep Guardiola on beIN Sports, by the way. Good question leader from Carrie Brown, by the way. He said, everybody in this country supports Liverpool, the media and everybody. Our destiny's in our hands. This is important. What do you make of that?
I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, there's just something pure in terms of the way people feel about Liverpool. Now, I've always liked City just because of the fact that because they are new, I get to watch them guilt-free. I probably watch City more than I watch Arsenal in terms of like minute per minute, because it's entertaining and it's fun.
Just aesthetic.
Aesthetics. And it's a modern style in the same way that I used to watch Real Madrid or Barcelona without any strings attached, just going like, I'm watching this because I just want to see good football. Whereas Liverpool have a little bit more of this. It feels like they're backed by the region. They've got a pretty strong hold globally versus Man City, which is a different type of seemingly fan base that's coming about with this next generation. And then domestically, it certainly seems like Liverpool are the more football pure. And you could break that whole thing down in apart to ownership groups, to money spent and all these things. And you're probably going to balance out somewhere along the way on a few of those items. But I would agree that Liverpool are the team that are much more beloved than the Man City. People want to see Man City fall primarily because of, again, the against modern football, the way that they've spent, the fact that they're at the top since the moment they got to the top. They've stayed near the top for a decade now. So I don't disagree. Do you think that they're sort of picked out or bullied, or do you think it's a little bit of kind of dramatization, so to speak, and that it's maybe not so much Liverpool that are kind of rooted for by everyone?
No, I think I kind of agree. I do agree from a neutral perspective, the way that from a financial Middle Eastern, we've got more money than you takeover situation. Nobody really likes to see Man City. They like the narrative of Pep Guardiola never winning a Champions League without Lionel Messi. They want to keep it that way, etc. And to your point, Liverpool perhaps has this quote unquote pure journey, which is kind of laughable because they're owned by Fenway Group, which is they're not poor Oliver Twists themselves, right?
Yeah.
So it's not about that. I just think that this was right out of the Jose Mourinho handbook of creating a narrative, I think, which was very good. I think it was very smart for Pep Guardiola to do this. It's kind of like what Kris Jenner does with the Kardashians sometimes. It's like, we need to get a cover on People magazine. Let's add a little narrative here. I think that's what Pep Guardiola did, because I believe Carrie Brown's question was more like, how do you feel now, right? After losing to Real Madrid, it wasn't like, she didn't directly ask this. She didn't directly say, do you feel, right, that everybody's against you, that everybody hates you? He kind of went that way. But I'm with you. I'm not disagreeing with Pep Guardiola. I think it's true. I think a lot of the neutral fan base wants to just keep seeing this Pep Guardiola Goliath of a machine that spends £100 million on a British player, $300 million bench, etc. They want to see them like that fail just because they like the idea of the purity that is the game. But let's be honest, like, Liverpool have a lot of money. It may not be Man City money, but yes, I think that. But Guardiola did basically was kind of genius.
Yeah, it was smart, and to be honest, full credit to Man City for bouncing back the way that we did.
Hell,
I think it was JJ. JJ had maybe thought that there was a moment to slip, right? With Man City, if I remember our preview correctly.
Yeah, I think he saw a draw in that one, actually.
Yeah.
Which it's not a bad assessment, because to our point, Newcastle gave Liverpool a very difficult time, and they were on a 4-game winning streak before that, and they feel very confident. They want to prove what they can do next season. But Man City, full credit to them. They were very, very good, and they won 5-0. And to your very first point, Heath Pierce, not only are they 3 points above Liverpool, but they have a 4+ goal differential as well. Yeah. Obviously, they don't want to win on goal differential, but it does matter, putting these away.
Yeah, I mean, you could see that there was some intention when you went into the 80th plus minute, and you could smell, a little blood in the water. They just kept going and going and going, knowing the importance of that. And now they give themselves a 4-goal cushion in terms of goal difference. Definitely gives them more margin for error. And to have that type of mentality after being knocked out of the Champions League, when you had everything in your hands and the one trophy that everybody is sort of putting the pressure on you to go and win, to be able to shift back to the league and put together a performance like this against a Newcastle side, like you said, a lot of people, I would guess, probably the majority of people thought that Newcastle could sort of poke and prod at this vulnerable City side and really disrupt their season and watch it all come crumbling down, because that's the story we want to see, is like a full meltdown from Pep Guardiola. But to put in that performance is really impressive. And yeah, all around, just a hard thing. You come back from the emotional roller coaster, getting knocked out of the Champions League. I think about any time that I was knocked out of anything, and nowhere near what it would be like to play at a Man City or at a club that size with the pressures of the Champions League, and sort of in the way that they quote unquote choked to not go through. That would be really hard to come back from, even if you were in a position of privilege within the league in terms of the table.
Yeah. Well, what do you think, everybody? Do you think the title is done? And what do you think about Pep Guardiola's comments? Do you think they're justified? What do you think Pep Guardiola is trying to do with that kind of answer? Very quickly, Liverpool, Tottenham, we've already discussed it. Jurgen Klopp, by the way, he wasn't impressed with Antonio Conte's tactics. He said, with all the praise probably for Tottenham, they sit back. They won against City, so the game plan works for these big games, but they're still fifth. They obviously work for everything, time wasting, these kind of things. Smart, but it makes it not easier for us on the other side. What do you think, Heath, on those comments?
It's such a. This goes back to the Pep Guardiola comment about Liverpool. If you read the comment, it's just got so much subtlety of like talking crap, but in a very kind way of like, they play horribly. Yeah. But it works, and he kept kind of going back to like, but it works. And so like, you can't discredit them for doing something that works, because it worked against, worked before, and it worked now against Liverpool, who are chasing, a Man City for a title. And so you could see there's just these moments in there that are like, these kind of things, smart, but it makes it not easier for us on the other side, which is just kind of like, yeah, it's a good game plan. It doesn't belong in the game of football, but yeah, it works for them. So be it. And so like, there's something to that where, Pep would be like, why did they even show up? Why did they even come on the field today? They don't want points. They don't want anything. That would be just the difference of sort of tonally. Jurgen Klopp just has this way of swimming through these types of things that It's really interesting. But again, it's a game plan that worked, and Liverpool have had to sort of face that from a number of teams throughout the year. But now you've got a team that actually has the skill sets to do it really well and also be able to punish you on the other end. That's not something you want to be able to face. And, kind of goes back to the Mourinho Chelsea days. It goes back to Spurs when they're at their best, things like that, where it's like, it can be really frustrating for a team that's used to playing wide open. Yeah, Liverpool only beat Newcastle 1-0, but they were still wide open against them the whole time. And Newcastle tried to play a little bit, which plays into Liverpool's sort of not gegenpress, but just the chaotic havoc they want to create in the attacking third to win the ball back and go to goal.
Yeah. In regards to those comments, Rafa Cardenas, a viewer, thank you so much for commenting, said, I love Klopp, but it stinks of a bad loser. Whenever I read these comments like this, it doesn't have to be Jurgen Klopp. I'm not just pointing fingers at Jurgen Klopp. But whenever I read these comments like this, I ask everybody, think about the timing of this. What if Liverpool had won 1-0? And he was asked the same question. Obviously, he's frustrated. It's totally because he lost. He's so annoyed. Sorry, that he drew. It's so annoyed that he didn't get 3 points. That's the whole point. Of course, he's going to get frustrated at what he sees in front of him. So he decides to point the fingers at the strategy of Antonio Conte, which, I'm sorry, but you're going up against Liverpool, who are a better team than Tottenham. What's Antonio Conte going to do? He's also, by the way, very good using the counter. And he has a very good striker in Harry Kane and a very good attacker in Heung-min Son. What's he gonna do? He has to focus on that. So had Liverpool won this, I bet you that comment would be completely different. Of course he's frustrated. It happened right after the game. He probably wouldn't even say that midweek, but he has to say it right after the game. It's 1-0. He couldn't get the win. And that's the most important fact of all of this. He couldn't get 3 points.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It was a game that was more dominated by Liverpool, but it was against the Spurs side that was welcoming that type of pressure and attack and being able to withstand wave after wave of the attack. And it could have gone the other way, even though it was more dominant in terms of the stat sheets was much more dominant to Liverpool. Both these teams could have ended up with 0 points at certain points in this match. And so it's got to be frustrating for him because it would have kept that pressure on what was seemingly, even with a 5-0 win, a team that has a little bit of vulnerability to see out the season with Manchester City. But now they've got a whole bunch of variables that are less variable now.